Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on X at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X. A very warm welcome to today's video. The DC Universe Daily will return tomorrow, but today I want to give you a special report on Doctor Who and give you my view on it, because there's been something going on which I've been talking a lot about on my X at Movies TV Mad. So yesterday I woke up to find out a report from the Mirror saying that Millie Gibson would already be leaving Doctor Who as her role as Ruby Sunday in Doctor Who. Now many Doctor Who shills were defending this and saying it's a rumour and fans going on about this was wrong. Later on that day, that Mirror rumour or article citing that Millie Gibson was leaving Doctor Who just after one season basically became truth, as Variety and Deadline and all the biggest publications started reporting on it. The BBC declined to make any comment on this. So I think we can say that Millie Gibson is definitely leaving Doctor Who. The way I see the situation is this. Either she leaves at the end of her first season, but more realistically, she probably leaves in the middle of her second season. And I'm not happy about this. Let me be clear. I am very angry and frustrated. I'm a big fan of Millie Gibson. Everybody loves her on the circuit. For many years on Coronation Street, she was the consummate professional. Brilliant performances. She had to leave, Manchester, where she was filming Corrie for years, to move to Wales to make Doctor Who. Let's not forget about that. Let's talk about the Mirror and all their accurate reporting over the years on Doctor Who. They haven't got anything wrong. Now, this is very suspicious. This means that the BBC leaks certain things they want the public to know to the Mirror. It's clear that Bad Wolf, RTD and the BBC wanted us to know that Millie Gibson was leaving. What about a few months ago when there was a report that Millie was complaining about her schedule on Doctor Who? Don't forget, this kid has been working on Corrie for years. Now, soaps have the worst schedules in television because Corrie's on 4, 5, 6 nights a week, whatever it is. So when you're in a storyline, you're working all the time. So why were they leaking this negative stuff about Millie? It's almost like they wanted us to dislike her. But knowing Millie, I was never ever going to dislike the kid. She's a brilliant kid. She's lovely and she's talented. And the night she was announced to be joining Doctor Who, I wasn't alive on this very channel and I was cheering like a football fan whose team had just scored the cup final goal. I was so happy for Millie and the casting. My issue with this isn't that she's leaving. Companions have left Doctor Who before after a year or so. That's okay. My issue is, after one broadcast episode playing Ruby Sunday, we already pretty much know, even though it hasn't been confirmed by the BBC, that she's already leaving. After one broadcast episode, for weeks we've heard rumours about Ncuti Gatwa leaving after 2 seasons, after he's only been in an episode and a half of broadcast television. It's a bad look. I believe that Millie Gibson has been hung out to dry. And of course, why did all this come out? To tell us that a former Disney actress will be replacing her as the companion on the TARDIS. Basically, they're celebrating having a diverse TARDIS because the replacement for Millie Gibson's Ruby Sunday will be an actress of colour. So already we're hearing virtue signalers and shills saying, this is such progress, this is amazing. Yeah, hanging an actress out to dry so we can have an all-diverse TARDIS is progress. And again, it proves that everything that Christopher Eccleston has been saying about Julie Gardner, Phil Collinson and RTD especially is all true. Now, what's very interesting about this situation, all this and the way Millie's been outed, as leaving, comes back to how Eccleston was outed to be leaving. After just a few episodes of broadcast television, we found out that Christopher Eccleston was going to leave. At the time, I wasn't angry or upset because I know that Chris is a bit of a gypsy of an actor. He moves around. He never stays in one place. He likes to experience different roles, and that's okay. And as much as I loved Chris as the Doctor, I got it. I didn't realise what they were doing to him behind the scenes. That only became apparent several years later. Could it be that Millie has had the same problems with these people? Now, very shortly after the Mirror article, Ncuti Gatwa posted a picture of him and Millie together from some Doctor Who marketing. My meals. Now, lots of people said, well, this proves it's all lies and she's not leaving. No, in our business, it's called damage control. But it didn't work because everybody who knows this game, this business and this industry knows it was damage control. And it simply didn't work. No disrespect to Ncuti Gatwa. Either he was standing up to be counted with Millie, or probably his PR team just put out that marketing picture of him and Millie together from a future episode of Doctor Who. I'm sure Millie Gibson loves Ncuti Gatwa, hopefully, right? And they get on and everything in that garden is rosy. Millie Gibson had a great gig on Coronation Street. Everybody loved her. The production loved her. They still loved her. She could have been working on that show. She didn't have to move to Wales and uproot her life. And a question I'm asking you right now and right here, was it worth Millie's time and trouble to go over to Wales to be in Doctor Who? As I say, my issue isn't the fact that she's leaving. The fact is we know she's leaving after one broadcast episode. And how can we, as Doctor Who fans, sit here and go, oh yeah, I can't wait to see what happens to Ruby Sunday, when we already know after one damn broadcast episode that she is leaving? It's a bad look. It's bad enough that we've had 4 unremarkable, specials, underwhelming specials. Because again, Doctor Who shields are trying to tell us that this is the best Doctor Who has ever been. Not even they believe that. They're just trying to uplift and defend Doctor Who. And don't forget, all these shields mostly are probably BBC, Disney and Bad Wolf bots. All these companies put these fake accounts on social media. DC do it, WB do it, they all do it. In fact, I even think that the guy who runs Max, formerly known as HBO Max, at Casey Bloys admitted to this. So that's interesting as well. But let's talk about Disney, because I pre-warned of the problems of Disney and BBC and Doctor Who going into partnership. Because Disney are not just progressive, they're aggressively progressive. And that's a big problem for a show like Doctor Who. We've seen it already with the 4 specials, the putting down of the male presenting Doctor. But the quality of those 4 Doctor Who episodes wasn't very good. It's literally like watching the MCU now. It's literally like watching Disney Star Wars now. And now we have Disney Doctor Who. Now a young white actress has been hung out to dry. And you have to look at it like that. It's okay for them to sexualise her in magazines like we've seen, promoting Doctor Who via her. So why have they decided to leak her exit so soon? There's no episodes of Doctor Who till May. It's clear to me that Russell T Davies believes controversy and conversation, that there's no such thing as bad publicity. As long as we're talking about Doctor Who is out there in the ethos. But Russell, the truth is, and here's the real truth about the Doctor Who situation, I think Doctor Who and RTD2 are funked. I think RTD has come back to rush through writing 4 series, then he'll go, he'll sink this show, either somebody else will come in, or the show will be buried, it will be finished forever. I expect the ratings and numbers to get worse. The overnights for those 4 specials got lower and lower and lower. Now they tried to twist the narrative with the iPlayer viewers combined, but overnights are the most important thing, right? Everything else is just extra. So these overnights are only going to get lower. When you compare, the Doctor Who special viewers ratings with I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, 9, 10, 11 million an episode. When you look at Strictly, that's doing 8, 9, 10, I think it's doing at least 7 or 8 million overnight. These are these are pieces of light entertainment and reality TV. And Doctor Who used to be able to keep up with those type of numbers in RTD1, in Russell T Davies' original revival, which I will always celebrate. Him, Julie Gardner, Phil Collinson and Jane Tranter did a brilliant job bringing Doctor Who back. Nobody can ever take that away from them. And nobody can ever take that greatness and that great era away from us. Because as Doctor Who fans mostly, we really enjoyed all of that. But the treatment of Millie Gibson is very, very problematic. And it just shows you the problematic behaviour of what's going on over at Bad Wolf, the BBC, and Disney, and the way they treat people. Don't expect Millie Gibson to be complaining about all of this. They'll put her out in a publication, in an interview, and she'll say she was always meant to leave after a certain amount of time. She was in an interview a few weeks ago saying she's going to start going to auditions again. That's interesting. I personally think that Millie should just go back to Coronation Street. I'm sure she's very ambitious and she probably wants to go over to Hollywood and see if she can make it. I'm sure she can make it. It's up to her what she does. But I think for her own safety and for her own progress in her career, I think right now the best place would be at Coronation Street, where they care for her and they have her back. Because right now the Doctor Who fans don't have Millie Gibson's back. They're all very, very excited. When I say Doctor Who fans, I mean Doctor Who shills, not real Doctor Who fans. There's people talking about Doctor Who on X, for example, where you get all these virtue signalling accounts with little animated profile pictures where you don't even know what these people look like. They're bots. They're not real Doctor Who fans, and you all know who I'm talking about. So it's fun, isn't it? They're replacing her with a diverse companion. So very soon the BBC will be virtue signalling about her. I can't even remember the actress's name, and I don't think it really matters at this point, but she is connected to Disney. She has worked with Disney before. So it's pretty clear that Disney have made this decision. Because as I said on the top of the show, Disney are aggressively progressive. There's one thing to be progressive. There's one thing to believe in diversity. Nothing wrong with that. But they are aggressively diverse. And what they normally do is employ diverse people who are not very talented. I'm sure there's wonderfully talented, diverse people out there. I'm sure there's very talented, people, actresses, disabled actresses. I don't think the actress that they had working for UNIT in the specials is very talented, but she's got a big mouth and she's always talking about, disabled representation on TV. But when I look at her performance on Doctor Who, in those specials, right? She was in the first special, she was in The Giggle. I don't think she's a very good actress, if you ask me. Surely there's better disabled actresses than her, but she's got a big mouth and she's very well known around the circuit, and that's the real reason RTD gave her that gig. But when you look at Stephen Moffat's UNIT setup and the cast of characters he had at UNIT, it was a much better setup than RTD2 has done. Bonnie Langford at UNIT, Mel's at UNIT. Really? You believe she's clever enough to be there? No. But that was kind of what they did. Look, as far as I'm concerned, the specials, RTD's 4 specials, were underwhelming and unremarkable. I think they were creatively lazy and bankrupt, and they did very little. They're not memorable. Nobody's going to be rewatching these things in a few years' time. Not like we all rewatch Rose and the original RTD era, even the Stephen Moffat era, right? They were great times with the Doctor Who revival. We are not in great times. We are in current day. And right now, this situation with Millie Gibson being thrown under the bus, hung out to dry, is typical of where we are today. Because as I say, I don't want to know that a companion's leaving at the end of season one. It's not even season one. And what's all this season one and season two bullshit? It's like they're trying to rewrite Doctor Who. Why is this called season one and season two? What's going on here? Are they just doing things to wind us up so we can be talking negatively? Because RTD and Bad Wolf have decided that negativity and anger from fans is the way to promote the show. It's nuts, right? Because it's I mean, don't they like positivity? As I say, it's very, very current day. It's where we are today. And just reading that Mirror article about Millie leaving really triggered me and really upset me. And I thought it was wrong on so many levels. And the BBC are not denying it. They're not confirming it. I think it's a bit late to keep quiet now, BBC, with every publication going with the fact that Millie Gibson apparently is leaving after a season. I don't think she'll leave at the end of her first season, as I said earlier. I think she'll leave in the middle of her second season because rumours about that were coming out a long time ago. It's, as I say, it's a very strange way to run a television show that we already know Millie's leaving. That pretty much we already know that Ncuti will be leaving, as the Doctor after a couple of seasons. Whether it's 2 seasons, whether it's 3 seasons, look, the length of his stay or Millie's stay isn't the issue. It's the way you handle these things. To think that these people are purposely leaking this shit just to have a bit of Doctor Who conversation and controversy going is disappointing. A few weeks ago, Millie was in an interview saying that she expects Gen Z to be really attracted to the new series of Doctor Who because it's controversial. Now, I don't know if RTD is a man either 59 or 60, right? He knows jack shit about Gen Z because he ain't a member of that generation. But you can't look at Gen Z or any generation like as a group. You've got to look at people individually. Who told you they want controversy? Who told you? I think people simply want to be entertained, want to be told great Doctor Who stories. Because there's lots of people in Gen Z who are fed up of current day entertainment, just like my generation is as well. So obviously Millie was told to say that shit. We've already discussed that in a video. So we go back to the Davros situation when we were told Davros wouldn't be in a wheelchair anymore because having evil disabled characters is problematic and a bad stereotype, according to Bad Wolf, the BBC, and Russell T Davies, especially because there's never been an evil disabled person in a wheelchair before. They're all good people, right? This is the progressive loony left mentality, and it's always has been. When you look at TV shows, when you've looked at soaps made by the BBC and other channels for years, when a man does something, he's a cheat. When a woman cheats, there's a reason for her cheating. This is the loony left mantra. And that's okay, and we put up with that for many, many years because it wasn't that aggressive. And where we are today is somewhere unrecognisable, where we've got to be very careful how we talk about different groups of people, even if we are just being, constructive with our conversations. We're scared to open our mouths these days. Well, I'm not. I'm always going to say what I think, Nowadays, we're not allowed to be attracted to women. We're not allowed to tell a woman she's attractive anymore. So we have to silently wolf whistle their pictures. Works for me. Don't know about you. Ooh, controversial, right? Couldn't give a shit. I was born in the 70s. We admired hot babes in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the early noughties. And I will continue to admire hot babes. If that upsets you, Gen Z or Hollywood, I couldn't give a flying fuck. That's who I am. Anyway, back to Doctor Who. So, that's it. Millie Gibson will get her, mystery box little arc, and she will be done. That will be over. And as I say, the whole thing feels like a waste of time to me. As I say, it's not really about her leaving. It's the way it's been handled. It's that report about her complaining about her schedule months and months ago. It's even like they were trying to make us dislike her, as I said earlier. And it was interesting that, nobody really cared about that article. Nobody was really talking about it. Here's the thing with Millie. Unless you watched Coronation Street or anything she was in as a kid, you're really not going to really care that much what she does and says. It's really an irrelevance. I care about Millie because she's a great kid, she's a great talent, and she did a great job on Coronation Street, and I think she deserves better treatment than she's had. So the way this has been handled has been terrible. But everything that's been handled really since the Chibnall era has been terrible with Doctor Who. And some Doctor Who fans complained even back in the, Moffat era, where there was some, let's say, progressive situations. And there was that incident in an episode of Doctor Who where, Capaldi punches someone for being a racist, and certain things, that were happening. But I could cope with all of that. That wasn't a big deal because ultimately, the way Moffat was doing it, I could handle it. But the way Chibnall came in and the way RTD aggressively has come in, he's even admitted that Disney give him notes. Now, he tried to twist the narrative by telling us he didn't have shoot his Doctor very much at the beginning of the Christmas episode, The Church on Ruby Road. And they suggested that he should be in it. So he was trying to twist it that they have good ideas and that Disney are good. We all know that Disney is a problem. As I said earlier, from the moment I realised that Disney were going to be part of Doctor Who, I was very, very concerned. I wanted them to go into business with Netflix because Netflix allow the people making the stuff creative freedom. Disney don't. Disney are all over RTD creatively. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. It must be an absolute car crash on that fucking production. They've already shot their first series. I think they're now shooting the second series. I think he's very soon going to start working on his third series. I think he'll only write 4 series, then he'll be gone. If Doctor Who continues after RTD's finished, and I think, as I said, he'll do 4 series and he'll be gone again. I think if Doctor Who is to stay on the air, we need someone outside of the Doctor Who country club. Someone that's not Stephen Moffat or connected to Moffat or Russell T Davies or Chris Chibnall, or anyone, or Gatiss or anyone. Those people are all very talented. I believe they've given Doctor Who all they can, and it's time to look elsewhere. The problem is, these companies, these TV channels, these networks, these studios don't think of the narratives of TV and film. They think about the progressive political element of it, as we can already see. So the reason RTD came back is because I think he wanted to keep Doctor Who within that country club. So it will be very interesting when we hear when Russell T Davies is leaving, because I think that will be the next announcement that we will hear again via their guy at the Daily Mirror, that Russell T Davies will leave after 4 series. I don't think he'll stay beyond 4 seasons. This is why he keeps on bragging, I've already done series 2, I've already done the 2nd Christmas special, I'm now working on the 3rd Christmas special, season 3 very soon. He's rushing through this. He rushed through Starbeast, he rushed through those specials with no fault of celebrating 60 years of a television icon. This is not the Russell T Davies we experienced in RTD1. When he brought the show back, that enthusiasm, that hunger, This is not the Russell T Davies we remember. Maybe that Russell T Davies was bullshit all the time and he never existed. Is this the true Russell T Davies? Is he really a hack? Is he really this way? Well, he can't be. The guy who gave us that original series with Eccleston and those other 3 seasons and those specials can't be a hack. This is a guy who's not feeling it. This is a guy who never really wanted to come back. And really, has he just come back to make some quick money via his production company, Bad Wolf? To me, and I said this months ago, this screams of Torchwood Miracle Day, where they went into business with an American television network and Americanized Torchwood and betrayed Captain Jack and the Torchwood concept. And when nobody watched that and everybody hated that, he kicked his toys out of his pram and said, right, no more Torchwood. You don't like Torchwood, you don't watch it anymore. Because this is the kind of people and person that you're dealing with. I love RTD. As a creative, he's my creative hero. He motivated me for many years to be creative. I don't want to get it twisted. Now this woke narrative that RTD is woke, he's not. Just look at his work on his original Doctor Who. In the first episode of Series 2, he's got Billie Piper wearing a low-cut top, being very flirtatious as another character is inside her. Cassandra, right, played by Miss Wanamaker. Is it Zoe Wanamaker? That's right, great actress, yeah? Do you remember that episode? That was sexualising Billie Piper. As I say, he's been sexualising Millie Gibson, right? And it's going to be very interesting with this diverse female companion. Is she going to be gay? Is she going to be straight? As we know, Shooty's doctor is gay. Shooty is also gay, right? That makes no difference to me. I think the doctor should be asexual. I don't think the doctor should be interested in people that way. There should be, relationships and friendships, and that's very powerful. But we are in a new era. And it's very clear to me that Russell T Davies is purposely being controversial. And he believes having controversial talking points in the public kind of environment is good publicity for Doctor Who. Let me tell you, it's not. It didn't do Chris Chibnall any favours. He did this by regeneration, on his by generation, right? Because he thought it was going to be controversial. He plucked it out of his backside. I neither love the by generation. I think it's interesting, but it doesn't mean anything, right? And I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's just there. It makes no sense. And, remember the rumours of David Tennant being the new full-time Doctor? In a way, those rumours were true. Because he's out there. He's still the Doctor. He hasn't gone as the Doctor, right? It's all, look, the whole situation for me is very problematic and very weird. Where do I see the future of Doctor Who? Right now, I don't see a good future of Doctor Who. Like Lord of the Rings, like Marvel, like Star Wars and everything else, it's gone. It's finished because they've put political propaganda, extremism and progressive political and the political mindset, progressive mindset of today first and foremost. I don't have any issues with the TARDIS having a slope so a wheelchair can go up there. It's a good thing. It's a positive thing, right? But give us great stories. Give us great characterizations. Give us great Doctor Who episodes. Thus far, we've had 4 underwhelming, unmemorable and unremarkable Doctor Who specials that didn't celebrate Doctor Who. Again, the shills will say, well, it ain't all about cameos, right? Well, and, old Doctors coming back. Well, David Tennant came back, a previous Doctor, even though he wasn't really playing a previous Doctor, right? We had Bonnie Langford back playing a previous Doctor Who character. There's as many cameos in these specials, or, people who used to be in Who, like there was in the Day of the Doctor. We had David Tennant in the Day of the Doctor. And, we also had Tom Baker in that brilliant cameo, brilliant moment, well written by Moffat. The Day of the Doctor is the way you celebrate 50 years of Doctor Who. Those 3 specials that RTD had his eyes closed while rushing to write them isn't the way you celebrate 60 years of Doctor Who. I can criticise RTD2, I can criticise RTD with what he's doing creatively and narratively and the treatment of Millie Gibson, and still love what RTD has done in the past. But when I saw how Millie had been hung out to dry, I was very hurt and disappointed for her.